Chapter 5. Ethics and Righteousness. In the morning, when you find yourself unwilling to get up, remind yourself that you are waking up to do a man's work. Are you then unwilling to do what you were born and brought into this world to do? Were you created to indulge in the comfort of a warm bed? Oh, but it's pleasurable. Were you born to seek pleasure? Or were you born to be active and productive? Don't you see how everything else in the world, every tree and plant, every sparrow and ant, spider and bee, all work diligently to contribute to the preservation of this orderly universe? Won't you do what a man ought to do? Won't you do what your nature requires? But you need some rest. Yes, you do. Nature has allotted you a certain amount of rest, as well as eating and drinking. But you exceed your limit in rest and food and fall short in action. Therefore, you must not truly love yourself, for if you did, you would love your nature and its purpose. Others, who enjoy their work, can work tirelessly, neglecting their bodies and food for their work. Do you value your nature less than a craftsman values his trade, a dancer his art, a greedy man his money, or a vain man his applause? These people can forget food and sleep to pursue what they love. Should actions that contribute to the common good of human society seem less valuable to you or less deserving of your effort and attention? How easy it is for a man to cast off all turbulent and unnecessary thoughts and immediately be in a state of peace and tranquility. Believe in your ability to speak or do anything that is in accordance with nature, and don't let the criticism or judgment of others deter you. If it is right and honorable to be spoken or done, don't undervalue yourself by being discouraged. As for others, they have their own reasoning and inclinations, which you shouldn't concern yourself with. Instead, focus on your own path, guided by your individual nature and the common nature of all, which is one and the same. I will continue to live my life in accordance with nature until I breathe my last breath. The air that I have been breathing in to live will take in my last breath. When I die, I will return to the earth that has provided me with food and drink for so many years. This same earth that supports me even as I tread upon it and tolerates my misuse or free use of it for various purposes. You might not admire me for my eloquence, as I naturally lack that ability. But there are many other valuable qualities that I possess, which aren't limited by my natural abilities. You will see in me sincerity, seriousness, diligence, disregard for pleasures, contentment with little, kindness, freedom, avoidance of excess, and avoidance of idle chatter. I am generous and do not seek praise. I avoid being petty, fickle, and inconsistent in my thoughts. I don't complain, I don't flatter, I don't seek to please or pacify my body, and I don't boast. I could have rid myself of these negative traits long ago, but I would have had to accept being seen as slow and dull. I strive to be someone who doesn't dwell on his natural shortcomings, nor takes pleasure in them. There are people who, after doing a good deed, expect something in return. Others, while not expecting a return, consider the recipient of their good deed to be in their debt. Yet others, after doing a good deed, don't even acknowledge what they've done. They're like a vine that bears fruit and seeks no reward for doing so. Just as a racehorse, a hunting dog, or a bee doesn't expect applause for doing what they do naturally, neither does a person who truly understands their nature expect recognition for doing good. They simply move on to the next good deed, just as a vine is ready to bear fruit again in its season. You should strive to be one of these people, who do good without a second thought and without keeping score of their deeds. The Athenians used to pray, "O Jupiter, send rain to all the fields that belong to the Athenians." We should either not pray at all, or pray in this unselfish, inclusive way, not just for ourselves. Just as a doctor prescribes riding to one patient, cold baths to another, and walking barefoot to a third, so does the universe prescribe sickness, blindness, or loss to some people. These things are ordained by fate and are part of the harmony of the universe. Just as the whole world is made up of all its individual parts, so is our collective destiny made up of individual events. Even people who are not particularly intelligent understand this, as they often say, fate has brought this upon him. This is what the universe has prescribed for him, just as a doctor prescribes a specific treatment for a patient. Let's accept life's hardships in the same way we accept the harsh treatments prescribed by our doctors. We endure them in the hope of health and recovery. Consider the fulfillment of life's challenges as vital to your health. Embrace whatever happens, no matter how harsh or unpleasant, as contributing to the health and welfare of the universe and to the happiness and prosperity of Jove. Whatever happens should not have occurred if it did not contribute to the good of the universe. No ordinary nature brings about anything that is not agreeable and subordinate to its own administration and government. You must be content with anything that happens to you for two reasons. First, because it was specifically brought about for you and prescribed to you, and from the very beginning, it has always been connected to you. Secondly, success, welfare, and even the very existence of the administrator of the whole universe somewhat depends on it. The universe is maimed and mutilated if you cut off anything that maintains and preserves its coherence and continuity. You are cutting off and taking something away whenever you are displeased with anything that happens. Don't be discontented, disheartened, or lose hope if you often fail to do everything correctly according to the right principles. If you fail, return to them again. Don't be discontented with the many distractions or human weaknesses that you, being a human, are inevitably subject to. However, love and embrace the life and activities of a philosopher in the most precise manner. When you return to your philosophy, don't do it as if returning to schoolmasters after play, but as those with sore eyes return to their sponge and egg, or as others return to their treatments. Obeying reason should not be a show, but a source of ease and comfort. Remember that philosophy requires nothing of you but what your nature requires. Would you desire anything that is not according to nature? Which is more kind and pleasing, that which is according to nature or against it? Isn't it because pleasure is considered kind and natural that it often leads to many men's downfall? But consider if magnanimity, true freedom, true simplicity, equanimity, and holiness are not more kind and natural? And what's kinder and more lovable than prudence when you consider that it helps you navigate through life without stumbling? The nature of worldly things is so obscure that they seem incomprehensible to many philosophers. Even the Stoics, who don't consider them entirely incomprehensible, find them difficult to understand. Therefore, our understanding is fallible. Consider the temporary and vile nature of worldly possessions. They can belong to an immoral person, a prostitute, or a notorious oppressor. Consider the attitudes of those you interact with. It's hard to bear even with the most loving and pleasant, let alone us. In such obscurity and impurity of things, in such a constant change of substances and time, of motions and things in motion, it's hard to find anything to honor, respect, or seriously seek after. You must find comfort in the expectation of your natural death, and in the meantime, don't grieve at the delay. Be content with two things. First, that nothing will happen to you that is not according to the nature of the universe. Second, that you have the power to do nothing against your own God and spirit. No one can force you to act against them. From time to time, ask yourself, what am I using my soul for at this moment? What is the rational part of me, which they call the mistress, doing? Whose soul do I possess now? A child? A youth? A woman? A tyrant? The soul of a brute or a wild beast? You can understand what most people consider good from this. If a person hears about virtues such as prudence, temperance, justice, and courage being described as good, which they truly are, they won't want to hear about anything else being described as good. However, if they hear about things that are commonly considered good by the public, they will want to hear more. They understand that the comedian's words are meant to be familiar and entertaining, and even the public can see the difference. This is why it's not offensive to describe virtues as good, but when wealth, pleasure, or honor are praised, we take it as a joke or a pleasant comment. So, let's consider whether the things that were humorously criticized on stage, such as the excess and abundance that left the possessors without a place to relieve themselves, should be truly respected and considered the only real goods. Everything I am either form or matter. Neither can be reduced to nothing, for I didn't come from nothing. Every part of me will eventually become part of the world, and then another part, and so on endlessly. This is the process that made me who I am, and the same for my ancestors, going back indefinitely. We can say this, even though the age and governance of the world are confined to specific periods of time. Reason and rationality are faculties that are content with themselves and their own operations. They take their initial direction and movement from within. Their progress is towards the end or goal that is feasible and possible, whether it was their initial goal or not. This is why such actions are called achievements, to emphasize the direct path they take. A man should consider only what belongs to him as a human. The outcomes of his intentions are not required of him by his human nature. The ends of actions do not contribute to a man's nature. Therefore, a man's ultimate good cannot be in the achievement of his intended actions. If any worldly things truly belonged to a man, then it wouldn't be commendable for him to reject them or live without them. But the opposite is true. The more a man distances himself from external pomp and grandeur, or bears their loss well, the better he is considered. Your mind will eventually become like your thoughts and ordinary ideas. Your soul is colored by your fantasies and imaginations. So, immerse it in these thoughts. For example, wherever you live, you can live well and happily, even at court. Everything is made for a purpose and naturally inclines towards it. This is its end, and its good lies in this. Therefore, society is the good of a rational creature. It's clear that we are made for society. And isn't it obvious that the lesser is usually subordinate to the better, and that the best are made for each other? And aren't sentient beings better than insentient ones, and among sentient beings, aren't rational ones the best? It's madness to desire the impossible, such as expecting a wicked person not to commit wicked acts. Nothing happens to anyone that doesn't naturally happen to them, and the same things happen to others too. If someone who is ignorant of this or someone who desires praise for their magnanimity can be patient and not grieved, isn't it a shame that ignorance or a vain desire for praise should be more powerful than true wisdom? As for external things, they can't affect the soul or reach it. The soul alone can affect and move itself, and everything that coexists with it depends on the beliefs and opinions it holds. After careful thought, humans are closest to us. We are obligated to do good to them and tolerate them. However, just as they may obstruct our actions, humans are indifferent to me, just like the sun, wind, or a wild animal. Any of these may hinder my actions, but my mind and determination cannot be impeded because of its constant ability to adapt and convert obstacles into opportunities. This way, what was once an obstacle becomes the primary focus of my efforts, and what was once in my way becomes my pathway. Honor the most powerful and influential force in the world, the one that utilizes and governs everything. Similarly, honor the most influential force within yourself, which is of the same nature as the one we just mentioned. It is this force that uses all other things for its purpose and governs your life. What doesn't harm the city can't harm any citizen. Remember this rule whenever you feel wronged. If the whole city isn't hurt by this, neither am I. If the whole isn't, why should I take it personally? Instead, consider the error in judgment of the person who is thought to have done wrong. Also, frequently contemplate how quickly everything in the world changes and disappears. The substances we see are in a constant state of flux, actions are continually changing, and causes are subject to countless alterations. Nothing can ever be considered settled and constant. Considering the infinite past and the vast future, where all things are to be dissolved and annihilated, would you then be foolish enough to be arrogant, worried, or distressed over these things? Let not the commanding part of your soul be swayed by physical pain or pleasure. Don't let it mix with these feelings, but let it limit those emotions to their proper parts and members. If these feelings reflect and rebound upon the mind, as they must in a united body, don't resist them as they are natural. However, don't let your understanding add an opinion of good or bad to these natural senses and feelings, which are neither truly pleasant nor painful to us. Living with the gods means continually presenting them with a soul that is content and pleased with whatever is given or assigned to it, and doing what is pleasing to the spirit that Jupiter has assigned to each person as a guardian and ruler. Don't be angry with someone whose breath or armpits smell. What can they do? That's their natural smell. If you think they should know better, remember that you too have understanding. Use your reason to appeal to their reason, show them their fault, advise them. If they listen to you, you've helped them, and there's no more reason to be angry. Where there is neither a loud person nor a prostitute. Why so? You can live as you intend to live in a place where there are neither loud people nor prostitutes. And if they won't let you, you can leave your life rather than your purpose, but do so without thinking you've been wronged. Only as if you were saying, "There's smoke here, I'll leave." And what a big deal that is. Until something like that forces me out, I will remain free. No one can prevent me from doing what I want, and my will shall always be guided and directed by the nature of a reasonable and sociable creature. The rational force that governs the universe is designed for community and cooperation. It has organized everything, even the seemingly worst aspects, for the greater good and has interconnected the best elements in a harmonious way. Can't you see how everything is arranged in a hierarchy, with each thing given its due place? The superior elements are brought together in mutual agreement. How have you behaved so far towards the gods, your parents, siblings, spouse, children, teachers, guardians, friends, and servants? Have you treated them all fairly, without causing harm through words or actions? Remember the numerous challenges you've faced and overcome. Your life's journey is now complete, and you've fulfilled your responsibilities. Reflect on the genuine goodness you've recognized, the pleasures and pains you've disregarded, the glory you've dismissed, and the patience and wisdom you've shown towards difficult and unreasonable people. The rational force that governs the universe is designed for community and cooperation. It has organized everything, even the seemingly worst aspects, for the greater good and has interconnected the best elements in a harmonious way. Can't you see how everything is arranged? Why should unwise and uneducated souls disturb the learned and wise? The wise understand the beginning and the end and have true knowledge of the rational force that permeates all beings and remains constant throughout all ages, orchestrating the universe in its own time. Soon, you will be merely ashes or a skeleton, perhaps a name, or maybe not even that. What is a name but an empty echo? The things we hold dear in life are worthless and contemptible. Even the most serious matters are like children playing, laughing one moment, and crying the next. Virtues like faith, modesty, justice, and truth have retreated to the heavens, as a poet once said. What keeps you here if the physical world is so unstable and our senses so unreliable? Our souls are merely a vapor of blood, and seeking approval from others is futile. What are you waiting for? Death or transformation either should be met with a peaceful and content mind. Until that time comes, what will satisfy you? Worship and praise the gods, do good to others, and remember that all external things related to your body or life are not truly yours or under your control. You can always succeed if you choose the right path and maintain a methodical approach in your thoughts and actions. Two things are common to the souls of gods, humans, and all rational creatures: they cannot be hindered in their work, and their happiness lies in a commitment to righteousness. If an action is not evil, does not stem from any wickedness of mine, and does not harm society, why should it concern me? And how can society be harmed? You must not be swayed by mere opinions. Assist others to the best of your ability, even if they suffer losses in worldly matters, but do not assume that they are truly harmed. Like a character in a comedy who fusses over a child's toy, remember that these are trivial matters. What are all these public debates and court proceedings? Have you forgotten what they truly are? Just because others care for them, should you be foolish too? You were once, let that be enough. Regardless of when or where death finds me, I can still be a happy man. A happy man is one who carves out a happy life for himself. A happy life is characterized by virtuous inclinations, desires, and actions. Summary of Chapter 5. Marcus Aurelius explores ethical principles and the importance of living a righteous life. He discusses the value of virtue and the role it plays in personal well-being and societal harmony. One memorable quote is, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man or woman should be.